This is the Aftermarket Radio Network.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Auto Repair Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Brian Walker, and today my guest is Josh Parnell from Limitless Leadership and the Limitless Leadership Podcast. Got an exciting episode for you today, but before we get into that, let's take a second to thank our sponsors. ShopBoss is software built by shop owners for shop owners. ShopBoss offers real solutions backed by real experience. Simply put, it's shop management software that works your way. When customers are in the lobby and cars are on the lift, you don't have time for a learning curve. That's where ShopBoss comes in, with profit-boosting features that work the way you need them to right out of the box. From built-in DVI to robust customizable reporting, ShopBoss makes everything about running a shop work more smoothly. Plus, with their Boss Pay Payments feature powered by 360 Payments, you can enter the era of totally paperless payments. From text-to-pay, remote payments, and consumer financing options, to compliance, surcharging, and now even offering PayPal and Venmo options. Everything is built right into ShopBoss. Plus, everything is backed by a fantastic support team with one goal in mind: your success. Be the boss with ShopBoss. Independent auto repair shops, get ready to transform your business with AppFueled. It's time for your professional auto service shop to have its own customer loyalty app. AppFueled will build an app that launches a custom loyalty program for your shop in 30 days or less, fully integrated with your point of sale system. Bring Fortune 500 level customer retention strategies to your business without the Fortune 500 budget. Many shops are enjoying the benefits. Our app engages your customers with a loyalty ladder, enticing them to climb the next rung, coming back more often and spending more each visit, all with your own app. Build loyalty with your customers to your brand and boost your shop's growth. Get your first app in 30 days or less, all without breaking the bank. Ready to start? Let AppFueled take your business to the next level. Go to appfueled.com or meet founder Jeremy Glasgow and book your complimentary app vision session at appfueled.com/Jeremy. That's AppFueled.com/Jeremy. Hey, Josh, I am excited to have you with me today. How are you?
I'm good, Brian. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to this conversation with you.
Yeah, I've been wanting to do this one for a while now. We were finally able to get something scheduled. It was crazy on my end for a while there. But man, let's just get right into it. You just popped onto the scene. Feels like out of nowhere not too long ago. And I think a lot of people have seen you speaking at the conferences, doing keynotes, teaching classes, things like that. But I really want to get into today about Josh Parnell, the man, the family man, all of the things that people may not really know about you and who you are. I want to start off by asking, before Limitless Leadership, before the podcast, before blowing up in the industry, who was Josh Parnell? Tell us a little bit about where you grew up, the things that shaped you early on, and what pointed you towards leadership.
Sure. Brian, again, thank you for the opportunity. I'll start back after high school. I had hopes and dreams and aspirations to go to Hollywood to become the next Steven Spielberg. Mm-hmm. So back then, I had a strong interest in filmmaking, and I found out that the University of North Texas in Denton near Dallas had a great radio, TV, and film program. So I went to UNT, planned on being there for 4 years, but after just a year and a half, UNT said, "Hey, Josh, thanks for playing. Your grades are terrible. You need to leave." I couldn't go back to school because my grades weren't good enough. I didn't want to come back home, but this was around the time that 9/11 happened, and it got me thinking about joining the military. And I thought, you know what, I can go do videography in the Air Force because that's a career field that the Air Force offers. Plus, I can go travel. I can get some culture under my belt. And so I went into the Air Force, and long story short, I actually went without a guaranteed job. I was told by my recruiter that videography would be available for me once I got into basic training. Sure enough, it wasn't. And I wasn't in videography in the Air Force. Instead, I became a cop. I was security forces. And funny story how that happened. We can share it at a later date. But I became a cop in security in the Air Force. And if you know me, you're probably thinking, I just don't see this guy being a cop. That's not my personality. And when I was told I was going to be in security forces, I remember even asking, hey, could I do something different? And eventually they said, hey, get out of here. You're going to be a cop. And so I said, okay. And at that point, I had a decision to make. I could be stressed, I could be frustrated, I could be upset, because that's not what I joined to do in the Air Force. Or I can look at things with the glass half full. We know that not every day is going to be a good day, but we can still find the good in every day. And I
Yeah.
learned back then that there's so much power in perspective, because with perspective, the way that we view things drives the way that we do things. And I learned back then that the two things I can control each and every day is my attitude and my effort. And so if I can choose what kind of attitude I have and show up for those around me every day, that's the first step. The second is providing maximum effort. And notice I'm not saying 100%, because some days our 100% is just not possible. Maybe you're sick, maybe you're injured, maybe something's going on in your life where you simply can't give what your 100% would be. But if you can give 80, give 80. That's your 100
Yeah.
that day. And so I learned back then, I'm dating myself, but this was over 20 years ago, how important attitude and effort were. Fast forward a few weeks after learning I was going to be in security forces, I found out where I was going to be stationed at. And I'm thinking, you know what? I can still travel the world. Every base needs a cop. I can go to Italy. I can go to Belgium. I can go to Spain, Germany. I wanted to go to Europe. I wanted to travel the world, get some culture. And instead, the Air Force had other plans. Instead, the Air Force sent me to beautiful Minot, North Dakota. And at this point, I'm thinking, man, somebody hates me. I'm trying to be a filmmaker in Italy, and instead I'm a cop in North Dakota. But Brian, I think you'd agree with me on this. If we want to make God laugh, you tell him what your plans are.
Ooh, man, there's no doubt about that. And as the father of a young man who is essentially in the military,
Yeah,
he's
West
a,
Point.
a
Yeah,
cadet at West Point.
yeah,
He'll be graduating in, gosh, 8 months. And you don't get to choose where you go. You really don't even get to choose what you do. He's
yeah.
hoping to become an aviator, to be a helicopter pilot.
Okay.
And as we're watching, the military just announced like they have gotten rid of a ton of their pilots and they're moving much more into the drone program. And then I don't even know how you say it, the name of the helicopter, Sikorsky, has got a full size helicopter now that is unmanned. It's crazy to watch this stuff. And he's got a few places that he would love to go, and then his
Mhm.
greatest fear would be like going to Fort Polk, Louisiana,
Yeah.
or what's the one way up in New York that's so cold where they do all the cold weather training? I can't think of the name of it,
Okay.
but yeah, you're at their mercy. You're going to do whatever it is that they want you to do. So you had no plans of being a police officer, and all
Yeah.
of a sudden,
No
so
plans of
you're
being a police officer. Yeah.
so you're an MP at this point, right?
Correct. Yes, it's an MP. So I was military police. And you know what's interesting? And I don't tell this part of the story that often. Prior to joining the Air Force, I had never shot a weapon in my life. I was initially not a great shot. I didn't know what I was doing. But that being said, I just followed every direction and every instruction I was given. And so through proper training and consistent coaching, which ironically is what I advertise with Limitless Leadership, I actually became an expert marksman on every weapon that I fired. And I think it's because I didn't have any bad habits. And,
Yeah,
but that being said, oh, actually, but before I press on, I'm going to ask, would that be the closest base to you and Kim?
it is, but that's not why he wouldn't want to go there. He
Yeah,
wouldn't want to go there because it's just a kind of an afterthought
sure.
of a base. It's one of those places that really nobody wants to go to.
Gotcha. That's how
Yeah.
Minot was. Minot is cold weather. And you asked me where I was from. I live in Texas. I'm a Texan. I was born in Louisiana, outside of New Orleans and Metairie. And in fact, I think you and I were born at the same hospital, correct? Lakeside?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
No, I was born at Baptist
Baptist.
Hospital
Okay.
in Metairie.
Okay. But yeah, you and I both born in Metairie, but I have a lot of family in Louisiana, but I grew up in Texas, mostly in the Houston area, and that's where I'm at today. So I went from Texas being normally a pretty hot weather state to North Dakota, predominantly a cold weather state. So it was one weather shock after the other. But quite frankly, Brian, I'm very thankful and blessed that I went there because of the people who I met. I know that I
Mhm.
needed to have specific peers and mentors in my life at that time in my life to help shape the trajectory for the rest of my life and even where I'm continuing to go. So
Yeah.
I know that I have a long way to go and a long way to grow. And I'm going to always hopefully maintain that mentality of thinking like a rookie and being committed to being a lifelong learner. And that's really what limitless leadership is all about. That's why the term limitless is in the name, because
Yeah.
we are often operating out of closed-minded or narrow-minded perspectives or thoughts or limiting beliefs. And what we get to do is help people tap into unrecognized potential to achieve limitless results. Okay,
Yeah.
good.
God knows what he's doing.
He does.
And it's crazy to think about because we have no idea what the outcome would have been. But if
Mhm.
we had gotten our way in some of the things that we wanted most in life, we have no idea what trajectory that would have put us on.
You're right.
Yeah. All right. So before Denton, Texas,
Yeah.
where did you grow up? Oh, Metairie.
Yeah,
Bill.
so born in Metairie, lived there till I was 5, and then moved to Austin, Texas when I was 5, and
Awesome.
was there for 5 years, and then at 10 came to the Houston area, and I've been pretty much in the Houston area most of my life since then.
Okay. All right. So before Limitless,
Mhm.
you were in a leadership role in Christian Brothers Automotive, right?
Correct. Yeah. So I was able to cut my teeth in the industry at Christian Brothers, and I owe a lot of my growth and development to that incredible organization. Because when I joined them in the summer of 2015, I did not view myself as a leader. To me, leadership was a
Mhm.
title, not a skill. And what I learned in hindsight was no, leadership is truly a skill that needs to be developed and honed over time. So if you're doing the math, I joined them in 2015. Fast forward 10 years later, and here I am as a leadership coach and trainer with my own business. When I say God works in mysterious ways, I'm not supposed to be here, Brian. This is where God is moving in and through people and organizations. And being at Christian Brothers was a phenomenal place to be. But by the time I left, the last 3 or 4 months, I was feeling something that I felt like God was calling me out of a brand that I loved and respected and still do to this day. And so logically, I'm like, no, like this doesn't make sense. So I fought this feeling for a while.
Yeah.
And finally, it got so heavy where I just couldn't ignore it anymore. If you're like me, a faith based person, a lot of times what we'll do is we will say, all right, God, if this is what you're really asking or calling me to do, then show me. Give me a sign, give me something, and then I'll trust you. And what he was saying was, no, Josh, trust me and I'll show you. And when I finally did that, I finally just truly let go. I remember going to my wife and sharing with her what I felt like God was calling me to do. And naturally, her reaction was, what? No, that's not happening. But I was like, hey, I feel so strongly about this. I understand it's scary. I understand that it feels or seems illogical, but I feel so strongly about this. If he's truly calling me out of this brand, then you're going to know it too. And literally a week later, she said, hey, I'm ready. Let's do it. And fast forward, now it's been 2.5 years since then. And man, God keeps on moving.
Yeah. Leadership or being a leader, it's not always sunshine and roses. I want you to think back to your days at Christian Brothers,
Mm-hmm.
not the podcast answer, not the influencer answer, like the ugly, you know, the answer you've probably never given before. What are a couple of the hardest leadership lessons that you learned during your tenure at Christian Brothers?
I'll preface it by saying this. I hope that anyone who's listening, if you know me for long enough, what you get. I don't give a podcast answer. I believe in connecting through authenticity, humility, and vulnerability. Quick
Yeah.
to let people know a lot of mistakes I've made in life, in leadership. I'm quick to let people know how scary entrepreneurship is and how tough it has been. But in terms of direct lessons I've learned, primarily when I was at Christian Brothers, it has got to be being more coachable. I myself am not naturally one to be receptive to coaching because I feel like I am self-aware and situationally aware. And I think that I don't have the blind spots that I actually do until my wife, who is a licensed professional counselor, regularly reminds me of them. So I'm eternally grateful for her and her coaching for me. But I'm naturally not a great student because I would receive coaching more as criticism, condemnation, and judgment rather than feedback.
Mhm.
And one of my favorite books by Don Miguel Ruiz called The Four Agreements. One of those four agreements is don't take things personal. And I've learned over the years when someone is speaking truth into me, whether I like it or not, they're doing me a disservice by not sharing that with me. And I've had too many people in my life who have been willing to get comfortable being uncomfortable, speaking truth into me and coaching me, even if I wasn't as receptive as I should have been. And I'm very grateful for that because it was those people who helped me recognize the opportunities that I now see and now coach people on as well.
I do not miss the irony of the fact that you say that you're not real good at being coached, yet you married a counselor.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons that I don't miss that irony is because I also married a counselor.
Okay.
Kim was a school counselor when she and I met, and man, the conversations that we've had where I've been like, don't counsel me.
Brian, you know what's amazing is that when Janvier, so my wife's name is Janvier, when Janvier and I met, she was also a school counselor. So
Yeah.
you and I both feel our growing pains. We don't say, hey, I don't feel your pain. We feel our growing pains because we know it's a good thing. What's interesting is not only am I married to a licensed professional counselor, I still do get counseling on my own that I pay for. I also get coached on my own that I pay for. So despite the fact that I'm a coach and despite the fact that I admittedly was not the best at being coached, I know how important it is. I know what coaching has done for me, not just as a coach, but as a student of coaching. It's been a life changer. It's not just a game changer, not just a season changer. It's like, this has changed my life. Counseling changed my life. Coaching has changed my life. And now I have the opportunity to serve others in that capacity as well, which has been incredibly rewarding.
Yeah. So, as far as the way that you serve others, I see you at the industry events, you're teaching classes, you're giving keynotes. You've also got an online course on leadership. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it's called the Limitless Leadership Blueprint. And so what it is a 3-module course on how to lead yourself first, because the most challenging person we're ever going to lead is ourself. And one of the toughest battles we will ever face is in between the ears. So a lot of this self-leadership module of the course is self-leadership, self-development. It's leadership mindset. It's recognizing the level of influence that you do have as a leader. Therefore, you can be a change agent. Anyone who's a change agent is a leader. So the first module is how to lead yourself. The second module is how to develop your team through effective communication, the roadmap of delegation, the impact of daily huddles, and how to lead one-on-ones. So what I share with shop owners is that poor communication is costing their shop 18% of total salaries paid out on an annual basis. So to put that into perspective, if someone is paying $1 million in salary across an annual year, then poor communication could be creating sunk cost in the amount of $180,000 every single year. So
Yeah.
when I share with someone, hey, this blueprint has not only one module dedicated to that specific challenge, but also 2 other modules dedicated to self-leadership and team leadership, it's a no-brainer. And this is why a lot of shops around the country are starting to invest in this course and find value in this course. The professionals in the shop, but it also helps them at home. The beauty of improving your communication is it not only helps you professionally, but even at home. Look, as a married man, I know communication is one of the greatest, if not the greatest challenges in a relationship. And so that's what the second module is dedicated to, is communication, delegation. And then the third is how to lead your team. So we talked about how to lead yourself, how to develop your team, and now how to lead your team. This is when we get into how to coach, how to train, how to manage, and how to truly lead your team effectively. And that's the Limitless Leadership Blueprint in a, I don't know, 90-second sales pitch.
Yeah. And, that I think a lot of people that, like, even the people who think that they're pretty good at leadership could probably benefit a lot from going through something like that. I think about it from a marriage perspective because Kim and I have gone to marriage counseling before over that exact thing, the communication side of things. And she and I have a amazing marriage, wonderful marriage, but things can always be better. And
Oh,
if there's one place where we do have some issues sometimes, it's on the communication front. So, why not take something good and try to make it even better,
yeah.
especially in your business?
I look at counseling. I'm thankfully in a place right now where when I first started going to counseling, Brian, this is because I was really struggling with understanding why I was thinking the way I was, how to manage my thoughts, understanding that thoughts dictate feelings, feelings dictate actions, and actions dictate results. And through counseling, I was able to get a handle on how to manage my thoughts. Studies show that people have up to 60,000 thoughts per day, and that 80% of those thoughts are negative and 90% of those thoughts are repetitive. So we naturally experience a lot of these negative thoughts that are often rooted in fear, but we know that fear is simply false evidence appearing real, and we will always find evidence in the things we believe. Now, that being said, over the years, I've been thankfully able to learn how to manage, control, and now coach people on their own thoughts. But I still go to counseling because it's like an oil change. It's my car's always gonna need oil change, right? And so it's routine maintenance. I'm probably always going to get counseling. I get it whether I like it or not because I'm married to a counselor, but I also pay for someone to counsel me. And so it's been incredibly helpful. But I look at it as almost like in automotive lingo, it's like an oil change. Go get it. You can get nothing but perspective, if anything. It can't is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, people like to talk about it like it's a taboo thing
Yeah.
or something, and it's really not. It's like we go to the gym because we want to become physically stronger. We put effort into eating the right things because we want to fuel our body with the best fuel and be healthy. But when it comes to our mental health, which that in itself is a topic that people want to just shy away from, that ability to go in and just fix things before they become a problem, or like you talk about that tune up, it's invaluable. I talk about it on this podcast all the time that we run on EOS in our business. And one of the activities that we do every year at our annual EOS meeting is an exercise called the One Thing. And it's where everyone on the leadership team has an opportunity. They tell each other person on the leadership team two things. They tell them one thing that they admire about them, one thing that they wish they would do different. And then each person picks one of the things that they were told. And over the course of the next year, that's going to be the thing that they work on. A couple of years ago, the thing that I chose was someone on our leadership team told me that I react too quickly. Before that 2-day annual meeting was over with, when we're talking about which one of the one things we're going to choose and what we're going to do about it, is okay, this is my thing, and I'm going to go get some counseling over that.
Yeah.
And I did. And it was an amazing experience. Like it really was. And you can't understate the value of doing that.
You can't. When I first started going, I remember thinking I can't afford this because I wasn't making it a part of my budget. And it can be an investment. It's something that I don't want to say it's expensive because when you say expensive, it means that you're paying more than what you're actually getting.
Right.
The reality is it's a premium. It's an investment. So you're going to get out of it way more than what you put into it in terms of financially. But my mindset went from I can't afford this to I can't not afford this. It was that valuable and continues to be that valuable for me. And being able to understand how to manage thoughts, how to control thoughts, how to regulate emotions. Because if we're talking about opportunity areas, which I believe vulnerability is not a weakness, vulnerability is a strength. And I love introducing vulnerability to a blue collar industry because immediately I'm mostly guys in the room and I start talking about vulnerability and I can see the eyes starting to roll. And then I talk about journaling and how important journaling is. And then more eyes are rolling. But this is all the method to the madness. When we can understand how to regulate our emotions and how to exercise vulnerability and how to truly show up for people in a way where they feel heard, understood, acknowledged, cared for, loved, respected, all the above, you become someone who has made a tremendous impact. And it's the ripple effect that can be felt through your leadership journey. But in terms of my own experience, much like you, I struggle with emotional regulation. And I know that. So I do practice what I preach. I implement the 3 Ps. I pause, I process, I pivot. When I'm experiencing a high range of emotion, when emotions are high, logic is low. And I know this about myself. So I make sure that I implement the 3 Ps and I do the things necessary to get me through something that I'm trying to grow through. So I do journal. And when you hear someone talk about journaling, it's like, wait, Josh, you talking about like, dear diary, today no, that's not it. Like journaling is you're getting clarity and direction because you're putting pen to pad and you're trying to figure out life amongst the other 60,000 thoughts that you have going on. And it's not easy.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the podcast. So
Okay.
you're the host of the Limitless Leadership podcast. You just crossed over 100 episodes, and congratulations,
Thank
by
you.
the way.
Thank you.
I think they say most podcasts don't make it past 7 episodes.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I believe it's the statistic, and I don't know what most is, but it's the majority of podcasts don't make it past 7 episodes. So over 100, that's a big deal. And you ask every time on your podcast, you will ask your guest, what is leadership to you?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to come back to that because it's going to be your turn
Okay.
to answer that. But before we get into that, I'm curious of a couple of things. All right. Number one, what is your favorite episode that you've ever recorded?
Clearly the one with Brian and Kim Walker. Wait.
No, come on.
First, I want to say this. I want to give you guys a shout out because Shop Marketing Pros is one of the sponsors, and I was holding out for you guys. I'm like, look, there's some great marketing companies out there. Shop Marketing Pros is the people who I love, and I believe in what you guys do and how you lead. So thank you for that opportunity. Brian, in all seriousness, man, like that episode that I did with you guys is one of my favorites. It might be my favorite. So I'll give you a few off the top of my head. And yours truly is one of them. I'm trying to think of some others that have really stood out. Recently, I did a handful of episodes at the ASTA Expo live on Podcast Row. That was my first time being on Podcast Row. So that was quite an experience. Had a great interview with Amber Wright that aired a couple weeks ago. Had an interview with Dutch Silverstein. That was great. We all know Dutch. Yeah. He doesn't shy away from saying what's on his mind, but it was a great episode. Some of my early episodes I still go back to. In fact, even in my coaching, one of my calls to action for coaching clients is to go back and listen to episode 4. This is before I was doing video. Episode 4 is called Be the Buffalo. And this is a great episode on time management. And it was a solo episode. I've learned a lot since then, but that's a great episode in terms of time management. But in terms of guest, yeah, the Walker fam is up there at the top for sure.
All right. So like I said, you ask every person, what is leadership to them?
Yeah.
Next question is going to be, what's the best answer you've ever heard on that?
I don't know that I have one. I've really enjoyed a lot of the answers because they're all different, but they're all right, if that makes sense. I don't remember who shared this answer, and it could have even been by more than one person, but the people who share with me how leadership is truly pulling something out of someone that they didn't see themselves. If I'm leading someone and I'm able to pull something out of them, like truly tap into their unrecognized potential, that's really the heart of, I believe, servant leadership. And I've had a few people answer in that regard, which I like that answer because to me, it's like, I know who I was and how I viewed myself only 10 years ago. And there were specific people, even dating back 20 years ago in the Air Force, and my time at Christian Brothers and the incredible leaders I had the opportunity to work under and work with at Christian Brothers. People in my life were placed in my life, I believe, for a reason. God, he's not messing around. Like, he knows what he's doing. And when I have people who are able to pour into me and pull out of me something that I didn't see in myself, those relationships go a long way. And so that's my long-winded answer to your question, Brian. I think there's been a few people who have answered it in that type of way before.
Yeah. So the ability to pull something out of someone that they cannot see in themselves.
That's it.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. All right. What is Josh Parnell's answer to what is leadership?
I'll start by saying it's a skill set that needs to be practiced and developed over time. Leadership, in my opinion, is not something that you're born with, but we are born with unique skills and traits and abilities and capabilities that allow us to shine. Those traits can shine when given the opportunity and being in the right environment. In regards to what does leadership mean to me, I do believe it is something along the lines of what I just shared, where you're pulling something out of someone they didn't see, and you're doing it through your level of influence. And what I know is that each and every one of us has a perspective that is not shared by anyone in the world, which makes you one of one because of your upbringing, your life experiences. You are unique. So therefore you have your own perspective that is not shared, which means that you are influential, which in other words means you're contagious. You can either infect or you can affect. And in this case, because you're positively influencing, you're affecting change. And anyone who is a change agent is a leader. The idea, though, is this, and here's a question I encourage every leader to ask themselves. Does my team feel the weight of my title or the influence of my leadership? Because when they feel the influence of your leadership, you're showing up in a way that no other boss, no other manager, no other leader has ever shown up for them before. And you will make a tremendous impact, not only on their professional life, but even in their personal life.
Yeah. All right. Next question. This could be someone famous or somebody that only, when you think of the quintessential leader, who comes to mind?
Jesus Christ was the best leader we've ever had in history of mankind. Being able to lead like Jesus from a servant perspective, give grace and in inclusivity, meaning what's the saying? That God didn't call the qualified, he qualified the called. So it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what you do, it doesn't matter how you do it to some extent. What does matter is that you were here for a purpose. You're here for a reason. You have purpose. You're here on purpose, for a purpose. So you have been called to something. And being able to help people discover what that is incredibly rewarding. But being able to furthermore create leaders amongst them, or in biblical terms, disciples amongst them, who are going and leading other leaders and discipling other disciples, I think is incredible. If I'm given non-Jesus answer, there are people who I really look up to in terms of how they've influenced me and my own thoughts and perspective on leaders. There's a pastor named Craig Rochelle. The Craig Rochelle Leadership Podcast is a great podcast I really enjoy. So Ed Milet, another podcaster out there who
Yep.
he's someone who I really admire how he communicates with his guests. And it's something I actually try to model my own hosting after, where he truly highlights and honors everyone on his episodes, which I think is
Yeah.
incredibly honorable of him to do.
Yeah. He has got an absolute gift for that. Like, he edifies people all
Yeah.
throughout that podcast. And I love listening to Ed because anytime that I listen to his podcast, I always come away from that podcast feeling better than when I started.
Yeah, same.
But I also love just the motivation that he brings and the wisdom. Yeah.
I want to give you one more answer too. And the answer is actually my wife. So my wife doesn't view her like I view her.
Yeah.
I wish she did. My wife doesn't view her as a leader like I view her as a leader. But if you like me, you love my wife. And Brian, you've met my wife. Like,
Yeah.
when people meet her, she's a people magnet. Like, people gravitate towards her. She's a tremendous supporter. She's a tremendous teacher. Like, she is truly, in my opinion, I'm married to the greatest coach of all, and she's a tremendous leader. And so when I think about leaders who have influenced me and people who are truly, like, where I want to model, or I want to model that example, like, she's a tremendous leadership example.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. So just in getting to know you a little bit more, because our listeners, they're going to be at these conferences. They're going to have the opportunity to hear from you and meet you in person and all that. So I want them to know who the man is.
Yeah.
So when you are not teaching leadership, when you're not hosting a podcast, you're not on stage, like, what do you love doing? What are your hobbies? What's life like for you?
These days I try to take a nap when I can, because I feel like I'm constantly doing something. We have 4 kids. My hobbies are my kids. We got 2 boys who are playing football. Our daughter is a freshman in high school. She was a cheerleader in junior high. All 4 of our kids are ages of 14, 13, 12, and 9. So they're in it right now. They're in the thick of things. I, of course, always be the best father I can be. I got a long way to go with that, especially in this season of entrepreneurship that I'm in. I feel like I'm probably not giving the amount of time to them that I should. And so it's something I wrestle with regularly, but I enjoy spending time with my kids. Of course, my wife is amazing. I try to stay active. I try to stay physically fit. I try to work out and stay fit. I do enjoy reading now. Years ago, I wasn't much of a reader, but I do enjoy reading. I like sports. I'm an LSU guy. If you're watching this episode, you can see behind me, I got some LSU stuff behind me. My dad is an LSU alum, and my allegiance regarding sports stuck with LSU. So I can talk sports quite a bit. Let's see, what else? I don't know, man. I love people. What's interesting, here's something about me people probably don't know. I'm actually an introvert. So while I do a lot of the trainings and the speaking, I enjoy it. It gives me life. But I definitely have to go back to my hotel room or wherever I'm staying and just take a breath, because it takes a lot out of me. I'm naturally an introvert, but I enjoy hanging out with people. I don't know, man. I enjoy making people smile. And I feel like I'm pretty easygoing. If you're at a conference, come say hi. Don't be a stranger. I know it's not always super comfortable to go and introduce yourself or meet someone, but I genuinely love people, and I would love to get to know you if I haven't met you before.
Yeah. All right. Last question.
Okay.
We have the word God has been said, I don't know how many times already in this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
What role does faith play in your life? And I'm talking across the board, business, family, all of it.
Yeah, it's the role. It is what I have gotten better at and am still working on is just obeying, just like truly listening, taking some time to just stop. I have a tattoo on my hand here. It's my watch hand, and it says, "Be still." It's a reminder for me because I'm looking at my watch, trying to figure out what time it is because I feel like I have so many things to do and I'm so busy, quote unquote. But I'm reminded, like, look, Josh, your kids are only going to be this age once, right? And if you can just stop what you're doing, take a breath, like pause. There's power in the pause. Really make time for God and for that relationship. It's not just a faith. It's not a religion. It's a relationship. You know this. And when you can truly make time for that relationship, it's incredible how audible he is as long as we're listening. And I'm reminded of that regularly. And especially as a new entrepreneur trying to scale and trying to grow, all the while trying to make sure that the impact and quality is not diminished either. I'm regularly reminded and drawn back to, hey, God, what do you teach me right now? What am I missing? What are you showing me? And my long-winded answer, Brian, is he is first in our relationship in terms of my wife and I. He's first in our marriage, in our home life, in our professional life. And I have learned the hard way too many times when I try to do things my way, it's not the best way. And when I just stop and pause and listen, or I guess as Vanilla Ice would say, stop and collaborate and listen. But yeah, I mean, to me, like he's number one for a reason, and he keeps on providing, and I'm doing my best to listen.
We're getting to the end of conference season for the year. Do you have any other conferences you're going to be going to where people could have the opportunity to come see you?
Yeah, so if you're listening or watching, I'm doing a leadership training at TechMetrics home office in December, on December 5th. That's a Friday, December 5th. It's a single day. That's in Houston. And then I'll be the keynote speaker at the Max conference in New Orleans at the end of January. So I'll be there. And then there's a couple others, hopefully Vision. I don't know about Vision yet, but we're starting to do some training. So Limitless Leadership is starting to do some more trainings. And the first one will be at TechMetrics office on December 5th, Friday.
Very cool. Look, y'all, if you find yourself at one of these conferences, make sure that you go up to Josh and introduce yourself and tell him you heard him on the Auto Repair Marketing Podcast. Josh, this has been great. I've enjoyed having you on here. Is there anything else that you would want to leave our listeners with?
I always sign off my own podcast by saying, keep leading, keep focusing on your people, focus on the people before the process, the people before the profit. It's the connection before the content. If you're interested in reaching out to me, you can find me at limitlessleadership.co. .com would have cost me like $100,000. So I said, I'll settle for the co right now. So it's limitlessleadership.co. You can find me on most social media platforms. Just type my name or at The Bearded Leader. And I'd love to connect with you.
All right. Thank you. To our listeners, thank you for listening. Remember, we are just one of a handful of podcasts on the Aftermarket Radio Network. You can find the others, aftermarketradionetwork.com. I hope that you'll listen in again next week. And until then, remember, in everything you do, be a pro.